Life Insurance Secrets Revealed with verified advisor Javaughn Spencer. Let's jump in here. Final expense life insurance. Wow, I know you're probably sick of hearing final expense. What does it mean? What is it all about? I don't want it. I don't need it. I believe in it. I don't believe in it. Let's just reveal it. Let's go over it. Final expense life insurance are ideal for families that you typically see don't want to pay for funeral expenses out of pocket. Funeral expenses, debt, the loved ones that's no longer here, their bills, their responsibility can be handled with final expense life insurance. Ideal for families that don't want to use a GoFundMe campaign, don't want to beg, borrow, or steal to bury their loved ones. I've heard horror stories of people, bodies being in the morgue for weeks, and while the family comes up with the money to bury their loved ones, or having to decide whether they need to cremate the family member because the family couldn't save up or generate or come up with enough money to pay the funeral home for what their wishes were. That's what final expense life insurance. Who am I? My name is Javaughn Spencer. My wife and I, Bridget, own our virtual brokerage, have two sons, Brendan and Darian Spencer, and we're in beautiful Beaufort, South Carolina. Here, I like to always identify myself with my national producer number, phone number, email, and the companies that I represent, that we take really good pride in our relationship with them. Again, my message, I'm able to help everyone with affordable life insurance, regardless of their height, weight, their medical conditions, pre-existing conditions are accepted with us. We can help you. Here, I want to start with final expense life insurance. I want to go over what's term versus permanent so you can understand that. These are the two main types of life insurance. Real quick, term. Term is temporary. Term, it will not pay a death benefit if you live longer than a selected term. So if you live longer than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years where that policy is active, you're covered. But when that policy becomes inactive because you knew that you signed up for that amount of money for that time period, for that policy, for that term, after that term is up, the policy is no more. After that term is up, it's either time to get a permanent or you have to get another term to extend out for a little bit more. Term is less expensive because it will eventually end. Term does not build a cash value. We hear terms like straight term or just regular life insurance term. It does not build a cash value. That's why it's so inexpensive. It's a crapshoot that you're going to pass away within this time period. Certain qualifications, certain health conditions you don't qualify for. So you must be able to qualify for a term, a little bit more stringent than permanent. And some carriers offer living benefits. You'll learn more about that later on. Some carriers offer living benefits. On the permanent side, with permanent life insurance, is guaranteed to pay a death benefit when you die because it lasts your entire life. It lasts forever. You keep making the payment and the policy lasts forever. It's less expensive when you lock it in as young as you are today. The sooner you can lock it in, the better. Even if you become ill later on, it's fine because your policy is locked in at your health at that point of application and your age at the time of application. Your money is locked in. Permanent does build a cash value that you can access while you're alive. You can borrow from yourself, use it for retirement, build generational wealth. You can access the cash value in the policy while you are alive. You can even use it on some instances to pay the insurance premium as well. Permanent is easier to qualify for with certain health conditions. Yes, it's easier to get permanent life insurance than term, and some carriers offer living benefits like chronic, critical, and terminal illness. But we're talking about final expense here, so I'm just going to tell you, you do not want term life insurance if you know this is to cover your final expenses. This is where people get in so much trouble. They run with the less expensive payment option, which is a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year term, but then they outlive it, and those funds for that policy, that death benefit for that policy, was always intended to be funeral expenses or final wishes. Well, unless you know a degree of certainty that you're going to pass away within those 20 years, you do not need to be looking at or purchasing a term policy if the use is for final expenses. We'll go over what term policies are best used for, but they're not to be used for final expenses unless you have the crystal ball that knows when you're no longer going to be here. I wanted to go over this profile of final expenses because there are final expense companies out there that you can get living benefits. Living benefits, as you heard, are policies that have free riders in the policy that not only protects you from dying, you want to make sure your final expense has living benefits in it. It protects you while you're alive. Let's start with this one. It includes, this policy type has a death benefit, which if you pass away, it pays out. It has chronic illness. This is if you're unable to do 2 or more of your activities of daily living for 90 days or longer. What does that mean? If you can't bathe yourself, dress yourself, feed yourself, hold your stool, or walk by yourself for 90 days or longer, you can access a portion of your death benefit up front. Critical illness. This is, Lord forbid, if you had a heart attack, develop cancer, have a stroke, kidney failure, things that don't necessarily kill you, but it does slow you down. This can be in your final expense policy. Terminal illness. This is if you had 12 months or less to live. If your doctor says you have 12 months or less to live, there's nothing more that they can do. You can access a portion of your death benefit up front while you are alive. You don't have to have a final expense policy that only pays you if you die. Accidental death. Again, accidental death is an additional benefit that pays out if your death was not health related. Car accidents, murder, slip and fall, things of that nature. Now, this profile is someone that is fairly healthy, so you can have this policy that protects you while you're alive and covers your final expenses as well, no problem. I look at this profile and you see less living benefits because this person might have had some health issues along the way before we met, so now they may not be able to qualify for the amount of living benefits that were available to them before they were sick, but they still can get living benefits. What is that living benefit? The death benefit, the terminal illness, which again pays you up front if you were diagnosed with having 12 months or less to live. Cancer will be another benefit that if you ever develop cancer, then the policy will pay you up front to use for treatment, use for income replacement, use for whatever you want. That's another strategy of final expense life insurance that you can have into your policy. Here's another one. Why is this one different? Let's just say that person already has cancer or previously had cancer within 4 years, then they might not be able to qualify for having the cancer plan. This profile here would be a death benefit. If you pass away, it pays, common, terminal illness, and accidental death. And this tells me that this client would be 70 or under because most insurance companies do not offer accidental death policies over the age of 70 years old. These are the profiles and how final expense life insurance can be added to your portfolio. Next steps is tap me. Next steps is jump on my calendar, jump on my team's calendar. Let's go over pricing for you. Let's find out if you have any medical conditions. It'll be fairly quick and easy. We can do it all over the phone. Like you saw at the beginning, I'm personally licensed in over 40 states, 45, 48 states, and can protect you right over the phone. We can jump on Zoom, share screen. Just want to make sure that you understand it. And if you have any questions, we're here. Look forward to helping you and see you on the next chapter. Have a good one.